Well, hello everyone and welcome back to Crowley House Flower Farm. Today, Jason is busy on the griddle making breakfast for him and I. Kids are still sleeping. It's really early. It's breezy. It's cold this morning. We've kind of had a change in the weather, and but it's a perfect day to get out in the garden and cut it back. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We are whacking back the garden from spring, and now summer is here, and so all the beautiful bounty of summer is going to start showing up, and it needs room. So thought you could join us. So first off this morning, I have to run into the studio and do a quick little design for a vineyard down the road. There's a big wine event this week. In next week's video, I'll show you all about that because I think we're doing like 55 tables and a few other things for the wineries around here. So today I'm just popping into the studio really fast and gonna put together a design, and I'll show you kind of what I chose. So I'm working pretty fast today. Technically this is my day off, but I wanted to show you guys something. So when you're using like a vase that you don't want the tape to show, then this is a great solution. So this is just a clear tape. This one is by Oasis, and you can find this online, but it's really thin and obviously you can see through. So then you don't have a hard time covering up the tape that's normally green, like it's a harder, more durable tape. So we do a little crisscross on top, and then we go around the edge of the top like this. And that just gives a nice secure so that doesn't pop off. If you've ever done this without doing this, you'll find that this tape gets wet and then everything just kind of ploops out. And it's very, very frustrating when you've worked so hard to create your beautiful design. There you go. So what I have is, it's a vineyard that is pretty modern. It's just up the road from us, but their event space and styling is a little more clean lined, and I think they have a big long table. So because it is a big wine event week here on here in Oregon, that we have a lot of requests for different small events that are happening at other vineyards. So this one, I have 5 little table arrangements and 1 bar arrangement. So it should go pretty quickly. I'm gonna head out to the garden and see what I can find. I have to have things that are durable. And of course, when you're around wine, you want things that don't smell. So I can't be using things like sweet peas or anything like that. Anything edible you can use. So I'm probably gonna use some herby things. I thought maybe some feverfew, I don't know. Sometimes feverfew gives me that country vibe, and I definitely don't want that. I have some old stems of allium over in the shade garden that I thought I might pull for this one as well, just to kind of give it that, you know, we're in that transition from beautiful lush spring into now the dried grasses and things like that that would look really pretty. And so I think that allium's gonna pop. So I'm gonna see what I can find and put together for this beautiful event really fast before I start tackling the garden and just cutting back all the spring needs to come out. And we have huge amounts of things growing up the house, and it's just, which I love that look, but there's a point. This year we're cutting it back. So I had to change vases because the first vase I chose had a little bit of a leak in it, which will be great. I will use it because it's clay and pop one of the new little succulents in that I propagated a couple months ago. But this one I kind of like better. It actually looks a little bit nicer with the little vases that I chose. So I just went in and cleaned it up. As you know, we live on a dirt road, so lots of dust a lot of times on some of the vases that we reuse over and over, but this one's kind of cool. So I'm gonna go get my clippers after I get this watered and taped again, and I'm gonna start cutting some greenery and some herbs and things like that to fill these vases. Jason's working behind me on this arbor. It just out of control. We struggle with blackberry here in the Pacific Northwest as being kind of invasive, and it gets into nooks and crannies that are really hard to get into. With all this vegetation growing around the house, we like to just give it a good cut after spring, and then it comes back beautiful for fall and gives us some shade from that, you know, late summer, really hot, intense sun. Especially in this pergola area, which is really, really nice, but we are definitely needing to cut it back. It also, we have a little fig tree over here that gets not enough sun if we don't cut it back to produce a really good fruit. So, and Jason's in love with this tree, so this is his little area he's gonna work on first, and then we're gonna make our way around the house and continue.
So right now I am just trying to cut back the blackberries, separate the blackberries from the roses. So I'm using a machete. It's kind of broken, but it still cuts really well. Try and separate, that way I don't just come through here and start whacking stuff that we don't want to cut. Like already on that side over there, found a couple new shoots of the fig tree that I accidentally cut. So even trying to be as careful as I am, you're still going to cut a few things, which it'll all grow back. It's fine, but we just need to get this area under control. There's a lot of blackberries in there, probably more blackberries than everything else, so we just need to just try and get it out of there and just try and control it. We haven't done anything in here for probably 2 years. So yeah, and then we got to get the stuff that's on the roof off the roof, so I'll probably have Braden do that. I'm too old to fall.
So that's the thing about cutting things back. Don't be afraid. I think I've learned over the years that things will always come back, and sometimes things come back a little bit better than what you expected. I know our blackberries are gonna come back. That's a given. Any weeds, totally fine. Don't you think?
Yeah.
It's always, yeah. So we're just giving it a good whack and it's gonna look great. So what I'm using today is, I'm just doing, it's super simple, but I have one lily from the garden. Love this color. Some beautiful kind of peachy yarrow. And then I have some spirea, which is just, normally it has like a white bloom on it in the spring, but now it's just the foliage, so I needed to cut it back. This is blackberry actually, but this is a thornless blackberry that we grow for freezing and, you know, pies and things like that. I have a little bit of blooming oregano that we're gonna pop in, and then we have some, this is the grass that I was talking about. It's just really pretty. I believe this one is the quaking oat grass or snake grass or something like that. But it's super nice when the wind blows and it just kind of gives you those tendrils. So I absolutely love designs like this, partly because you can just choose anything you want in the garden. They didn't give you a design palette or a style. I know the style of the event space, and so I can just pick and choose anything that kind of speaks to me as a creative artist. So I can just go and pick and choose what is just calling to me from the garden. So I'm gonna put this together and we're just gonna bop some music on so you can just enjoy it. You know what I'm using. I am gonna go grab a few of the alliums and pop those in and a few other things, and it should be a beautiful design. And I'm just gonna enjoy it. Okay, so I went ahead and finished up. I've got all the goodies popped in. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of a stem count here. So I have 2 snapdragons, 1 yarrow, 2 of the lemon balm, and then 2 of the spireas, sometimes 3. So I had a little bit of extra. So like this one has 3. We had some of the quaking oak grass. There's 2 stems of that in there. And then we have 1 of the berries, which is the black thornless blackberry. But it turned out really cute, kind of from all sides. It definitely, these are going to go on tables, so you kind of want to keep that in mind when you're doing something like this. Yeah, they're all just gorgeous. Oh, and I did add in some of this, and I always forget the name of it, but I love that chartreuse color, which is kind of accenting against the grass, and then just making that pink and orange from the snapdragons and yarrow kind of pop. So going on to the big arrangement over here, I love how it turned out as well. So a clear vase, you always want to make sure that the stems look as beautiful as the floral arrangement above it. The only difference we're doing is adding in some of the lilies here from the garden. I have 2 stems of that, and then we also have 3 stems of the dried allium bunches. You can kind of see there. Really, really pretty. That's just going to give it that kind of earthy tone with the oranges and the chartreuse colors of the foliages and things like that. So yeah, it turned out really good. Braden's gonna go deliver this for me, and I think they're gonna be really, really happy with it. Again, we have all those herbs too. I forgot about that. The oregano. There's just a little pop of oregano. Really fun. So my designs are done for the day. I'm gonna head back out to the garden and start cutting it back and getting ready to plant in some more annuals this year. We're gonna try and see what the garden centers have. A lot of times this time of year, you kind of get some of those sales that come along, and that's what I'm looking for. So I'm looking for some things. I have a list in my head that I want to do. Really need to focus on that circle garden where the long table is, where we have dinner and host a lot of our guests. So that's what I'm working on and focusing on this time. So on to the fun stuff. Even though, I mean, designing is fun as well. But yeah, I'm eager to get out in the garden on this fabulous day. We have just a cloud cover. It's just perfect for gardening. With cottage garden style of gardening, it's a mouthful, you always have this kind of messy, rambled look that looks beautiful. It's very romantic, but there are certain times of the year where we have like some lupin that's gone over and a few other things that just need cut back. So I'm gonna go get all the tools that I need to make quick work of it, some gloves and things like that, and get working on this garden. This is my job today, to get it under control, get some of the weeds out, get some of the plants that have gone over. It's a big job, but then it's gonna reset for, you know, dahlia season and all the things that, you know, rudbeckias are starting to bloom, and we just have some cosmos and things like that that are just going to start taking over the show. It can be a little bit overwhelming and also a little intimidating to do this portion of it. Cutting back the gardens, like Jason said, is just, you know, one of those things that you do and then all of a sudden it bounces back, and after years of doing it, you kind of know, okay, I'm not going to kill everything, maybe a few things, but give it a good haircut and spruce it up. It's going to look great. So my first job is to go through and just kind of identify anything that is a weed, or in my mind is a weed, because some things we might leave, like wild carrot, because we do use that in design work and people really like it. Other things you might leave would be like grasses that you might find attractive, and some people do like a thistle that is beautiful. You just have to catch it before it goes to seed. There's different things like that. So in cottage gardening, it's okay to leave a few if it's pleasing to you. There's also like where hollyhocks might get out of control, and you would want to maybe thin them out and pull some of those baby ones out on a pathway and different things like that. So it's almost like you're designing as you go, pulling things, weeding out things that you don't want in certain areas. So that's what I'm doing first, is just kind of identifying the things that I really don't want, and then I'm going to go back in and clean the understory, clean off any of the big overgrown like lupins. They're going to seed. I don't want lupins everywhere, so I'm going to take those off, and we put them in the woodlands because they like it there and it's beautiful and they just kind of naturalize out there. So we're gonna go ahead and cut those and then get them out there. The birds have loved them. They come and eat the seed. It's kind of fun to watch, but it's time for them to go. So So sometimes when you cottage garden like this, you start to clean up and you get all the weeds out and cutting back things like the lupin, and then all of a sudden underneath you see where something beautiful has seeded or is just starting to grow and just needs a little bit more light. So that's kind of the fun part of cottage gardening, I think, is that, you know, when it's scary that you've got this beautiful, you know, little garden and then all of a sudden you're cutting it back and it feels so scary to do that. And then underneath you have a whole nother show that just needs that light. So I'm excited. I'm seeing all kinds of little things poking their heads up, and I'm going to get quite the wonderful display of flowers here shortly. So anyways, I am finishing up, just getting this garden under control, and I'm going to pop in a few new things that we have just sitting back in our nursery just to kind of give this a little bit more color and life. So I'm cutting back this rose, which is kind of a creamy white. It's kind of got, and then when the buds are new, it kind of has a peachy pink kind of blush feel to it. But Riley's in the studio working on a wedding that has little bud vases, a whole design. It's beautiful. We're going to show you on the next video that comes out, but this is one I thought maybe she could use this, so I'm going to take some of these cuttings in there and see if she can pop them in to her wedding really quick. So what I'm doing is pulling all of the debris from the edge out, and I'm going to gather as much as I can up, and then we will just mow this over and clean it up. It's just the easiest way to do it for me, at least, with the equipment we have here on the farm. So I finished up cleaning all the beds up. I've got to pick up my piles, get that moved to the back, and then I'm going to mow really quick and then move on to the next garden, which is going to be the circle garden. So here it's just got some cat's pajamas, I think it's called, the Nepeta. I've got to cut that back because that's going to reflush then. And then I've got some comfrey over here that last year I made, right here, it's leaning over. Last year I made a comfrey compost with it, and I'm going to do that again. And it flushes again really nicely, so I'm going to cut that back. Just making room, like there's a dahlia coming up, really pretty. There's a few other things, some Russian sage, and then just going through here. This is a little garden that I cleaned up already, but it's looking pretty good. I just need to deadhead some roses, but that's going to be a different video. Look at that pink lavender. Isn't that gorgeous? And the bees are loving it. So last week's video, we talked about just styling a little bit here in the circle garden. And so this is the next tackle, is just pulling out all these lupin. You can see they went to seed. I'm gonna cut them down, make room. We have some phlox under there. We've got some beautiful rudbeckias and a few other things that I'm popped through here that need a little bit more room. But oh, that view is gorgeous, you guys. It's a beautiful day. The sun is now out. I just ran to grab a hat because I'm trying to do better at that. But look at this lupin here. These seed pods have already started to open and scatter, which is okay, but you can hear them kind of snap every once in a while in the heat. Sun comes out and then you hear pop, 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 and that's how Mother Nature spreads these wild seeds, and it always looks amazing. So I'm gonna tackle these and get this garden cleaned up as well. Okay, well, it doesn't look like much, but we've got a good start on cleaning up all of the spring and getting it ready to go.
Hi guys, it's Riley, your favorite. I know you've missed me. Stop it, stop it. Today, or this week, we are working on a couple events. That's what I've been busy doing. Sorry I haven't been here, but we have 2 different events happening this week. We're working on one of them that needs to be delivered today. This is the Pinot Noir camp event that we're doing right now. We're doing 2 different size vases for them. They're mostly like table arrangements. They are very, very pretty. They're very, very pretty. and I love them. And we're finishing up the smaller ones right now. Last night we did the larger ones, and yeah, they're a very romantic-y design with some hardier flowers because they're going to be outside most of the time, so we have to make sure that they're going to, like, you know, last. And yeah, gonna finish those up. We did a technique with, like, the structure of it. We have chicken wire in them and tape just to, like, make them easier to design with. You don't have to use as many flowers pretty much by using this technique, but it still makes it look just as full. For the price point, it makes sense.
So Riley and I have about 55 table arrangements that we're putting together. We're doing 2 different styles, like she said. One that is a little bit more lush and full, and then we have 25 smaller ones. So that's what we're working on today. And then we have to have them delivered today by 2 o'clock. So it's about 8 o'clock in the morning, which is one of my favorite.
9:30.
It's 9:30 in the morning, which is my favorite time to work because we can head out to the gardens, cut anything that we might need. And it's just very, very, I don't know, it's the fun part of our job. Don't you think? So the best way to do this is to assembly line when you're doing this mini arrangements. So Riley is behind me getting roses ready, and I'm going to take them as she goes. We're going to add that in and then add the next piece and the next piece and the next piece until we get our full design. Sometimes when I'm doing this, I will actually put together an arrangement that is all done and almost like an example, just to kind of get our numbers. But we've done the rough math in our head. This event is outdoors and it's going to be hot, so we had to bring in some things that are a little bit more durable. It has to last and look good for 2 days, and so we're using not everything from our farm. We ordered in some mums, we ordered in a few different types of other roses, and what else did we order in? Some hardy greens, I think, because ours are not super hardy yet. They're not hardened off, and so they've got soft tip, which would fade in direct sun. So this is what we're doing today. So Riley and I are getting ready to load up the car. We have, I think, 5 crates of flowers plus a bucket. So because their event lasts for 2 days, I made sure to work in a few bunches of extra flowers and foliage just in case they need to spruce them up. It's really, really like a nicety for big events when they're corporate and they have a coordinator that's working and has the time to do something like that, and so it just gives me peace of mind and also them. So I'm gonna get them loaded up. We had to unload from the farmer's market. We hadn't done this last market, so Riley got it all out. Now we're just shuffling things into the car. Hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, much success in all you do and grow. We'll be seeing you shortly back here at Crowley House very soon. Bye-bye.